We now turn to the investigation. And here now with that is NBC's chief legal correspondent, Dan Abrams. Dan.
Well, hi there, John. This clearly is an international investigation. People have been detained in countries as far away as England, France, Belgium, the Philippines. This investigation continues here in the United States, particularly in Florida, where it seems almost 12 of the hijackers lived. 3 of them had gotten their pilot's licenses there. But there were some clues to move on so far, and that is that there have been some past incidents involving Osama bin Laden, as we pointed out in Newsweek magazine, reporting that 2, or at least one of the hijackers, may have had contact with someone responsible for bombing the USS Cole. And that, of course, could be a link back to Osama bin Laden. But there's another case that happened out on the West Coast, a bombing that was being planned allegedly in Los Angeles, also in New York. Wiehl is a former federal prosecutor in Seattle. She has a lot of contacts out there on the West Coast. Lise, tell us what you know about what's going on there and how that might be connected to Osama bin Laden.
Well, you may remember that Ahmad Rassam was arrested when he came over the border here in Washington State from Canada with a car full of explosives meant for Los Angeles and New York. He was tried in Los Angeles and convicted of conspiracy for international terrorism. What happened very recently, as of yesterday, is the FBI met with him, showed him photos of some of these suspected hijackers, and asked him to identify any of them. Well, I understand that he hasn't done that yet. The importance, though, of this is that if he can identify just one of those suspected hijackers, he has been connected to Osama bin Laden. So if he can say that one of those suspected hijackers he knew from Osama bin Laden's training camps, for example, that would be the critical piece in this puzzle for us to go forward and say to the international community, we know it's Osama bin Laden.
Joe Cantamessa joins me here in our studio, former supervisor with the FBI here in New York. Joe, sound like that's going to be the way this investigation is going to go? I mean, are they going to try and identify with names X number of people and then get pictures and show all the other people the pictures of the people that they know about?
Certainly names, identification, false identification, any linkage, any identification that can really link up anybody.
I mean, if you were to just say X is the key to this investigation, I mean, is it mistakes that these people might have made? I mean, how are we going to find the people responsible for this bombing and feel confident that we've got the guys?
Well, while mistakes may contribute to an easier investigative effort, the real solution is going to be the actual investigative effort that looks for those not so obvious clues.
Like what? I mean, give me some specifics.
Like financial records is a really great contributor. Treasury and FinCEN, their investigative arm. SEC for transactional purposes. Any money movement, any credit card movement.
Well, let's talk about that. NBC's Andrea Mitchell reporting that the investigators in Europe and the U.S. are looking into whether Osama bin Laden financed his terror attack by essentially manipulating stock prices for reinsurance companies. These are the companies that insure the insurance companies. Why is that significant? Well, some of these companies were the ones who may have been the ones responsible for insuring, either directly or indirectly, the World Trade Center. He knew it was going to happen. He knows how to manipulate the prices. Is this the sort of thing that would be a big tip? I mean, is this one of the ways that investigators generally try and figure out who's responsible for an act like this?
Well, this is a little bit unprecedented, but certainly any kind of activity with regard to targeted or affected companies, in this instance the reinsurers, certainly that's going to get a real hard look, and all the transactions will be analyzed rather thoroughly.
Lise, I found this report to be shocking. The idea that Osama bin Laden might have been trying to finance his operation by manipulating prices. You've prosecuted some domestic terrorism cases. This seem like a real possibility to you?
Absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely incredible, but it doesn't surprise me. You know, the old saying of follow the money, that's absolutely what the investigators are doing here, and it doesn't surprise me at all to see the kind of devious nature of it. And domestic terrorism happens, and certainly Osama bin Laden would be capable of doing this.
Joe Cantamessa and Lise Wiehl, thanks very much. John, back to you.
Abrams, thank you very much.